Hey guys, how's it going? This is Nappy Senshi here, and before the video starts, I just want to say first off, thank you guys for all the support over the years of doing the controller reviews. I really do hope that my reviews have been helping you guys make informed decisions when purchasing your gaming controllers. BIGBIGWON actually sent me this controller for the Blitz 2 TMR controller, and this controller, I actually have my very first affiliate link. So in the description below, you'll find an affiliate link to purchase this controller. It actually gives me a small kickback and helps out the channel. And again, thank you guys for all your support. So without further ado, use my affiliate link if you want to purchase this controller. And here is the video for you guys to enjoy. Hey, how's it going, everyone? This is Nappy Senshi here, and this is going to be the unboxing portion for BIGBIGWON's Blitz 2 TMR controller. So BIGBIGWON reached out to me again and asked me to review another controller of theirs, and I was like, sure, why not? Originally, this controller review was supposed to be out way sooner, like October, but due to shipping issues, it came extremely late. So yeah, better late than never. But the cool thing about this controller is the fact that this controller has a 2000 hertz wired and wireless polling rate. Interesting. I'm really curious about that. So with that being said, and also this is based off of the Blitz controller / Rainbow 2 controller. Has 4 programmable back buttons and has something unique. Not necessarily Hall effect joysticks, but something that is similar to Hall effect joysticks, but it's supposed to be better. I'm not sure exactly. I've never heard of this technology. This is new to me. So without further ado, let's open this thing. Wait. Yep. Stickers. Oh, I cut the box. No, I ruined the box. Oh, all right, cool. Little rolling right here. That's not too bad. I'm gonna slide this out. All right, got the box right here. Oh, wait, another sticker. There we go. BIGBIGWON QR code. Interesting. Don't know what this is for, but all right, cool. BIGBIGWON Blitz 2 book. Teaches controls, turn on, connections, Bluetooth connection. Okay, so it supports Bluetooth. It switches between mode switches for aux input and switch mode. Okay, mapping the buttons, turbo, macro recordings, simulate motion controls, onboard configuration, dead zones of joysticks, joystick calibration, gyroscope calibration, volume adjustment, vibration control, and battery. And plus the reset button. Okay, so that's quite a lot of features in this controller. Pretty sure this is just a USB-A to USB-C cable. Yep, USB-A to USB-C. A little shorter than I thought. Almost 6 feet, barely. No, I wouldn't say it's 6 feet. I'll say it's more like 1 meter, 3 feet. Dongle. Yeah, you know, your dongle. Ooh, I get extra joysticks. All right, cool. And let's get to the controller itself. I'm just gonna set this aside. Move this out the way. Let's see. First impressions, holding the controller in the hand. Huh. So these are not analog triggers. They're mechanical triggers. You know what? That's not a bad thing in my opinion, because unless you're playing like racing games or something, I can't think of a time when I really do need analog triggers. So yeah, this is interesting, unique. I was expecting analog triggers and I got regular triggers. So, but yeah, it's based off the Blitz controller, and the Blitz controller did not have analog triggers, so that makes sense. Yeah, these are all mechanical keys. The LB and RB are mechanical. 2 programmable buttons right here are mechanical, and 2 programmable buttons on the back are mechanical. 3 prongs. I wonder if this is compatible not with the BIGBIG Rainbow 2 docking station, but the Blitz docking station. So there is a difference between the two. But yeah, it looks like I don't have a dock station for this controller, but I'm just curious about it. And it sucks because I gave the Blitz controller away to my girl because she plays Switch games and she wanted a controller with the docking station. So I guess I won't be able to test that anytime soon. But holding this controller, the joysticks are actually very grippy. There is these friction rings around here which perform very well. ABXY, they feel nice. All of this is just straight up mechanical keys. Looks like, yeah, the start select. You even made the start and select mechanical? Okay, that's a bit much. Share button. Pretty sure this is the profile button right here. Actually, no, this is the profile button. This is probably the FN button from last time. So looks like you got button swap, profiles, turbo, and I'm not 100% sure what this was. I forgot. But yeah, the controller is actually pretty cool. I do like this rubberized like grip around the handle, so it definitely grips in your hands very well. It looks like it's like a two-part, so you have the top of the shell that has like the top part of the grip, then a bottom of the shell there's like a grip that's going all the way around the handle, so you definitely got locked in. It seems like that's not all in the box though. It seems that I get, all right, it looks like I get a D-pad, which I'm gonna do. Can I take this out? Here. Not making this easy. Let's see. North. I'll always full. How do I get you out? Nope. Got it. All right. Yep. And right here, basically a little line it up right there. For this one, here's a line. Smack that in. Ooh, yeah, I like this. So I always like octagon D-pads because I always like, if you're someone who likes to use like the ends of a D-pad, you probably prefer octagon so you can roll like this. If you're somebody who keeps their thumb in the middle and then just like curve like this will honestly, this will be more than enough. But for me personally, I like to run my fingers around. So octagon D-pads are just better for me. And I guess you can, yep, pull out joysticks and let's see what I get. Ooh, these are big joysticks. I mean, pause, like whatever. So yeah. All right, so looks like you got 6mm, 8mm, and 10mm. All right, so as you see right here, you got 3 different joystick sizes. I'm gonna put this one back for now, but it's nice to know that you get 3 different size joysticks. I'm going to, let's see, yeah, I'll put you back over here for a time being. Put you back over here. Yeah, this controller one thing that BIGBIG really needs for their controllers is like definitely a carrying case to carry all these accessories. But yeah, so far I really like the controller. I guess the next thing to do is to hook this up to my PC, play some games, joystick input latency test, basically a gyro test to test out the gyro of this thing, and yeah, let me tell you guys my opinions about this controller. Here we are in Gamepad Tester, about to test the joystick accuracy of this controller right here. As you see, I got the controller hooked up. All the buttons are responding as normal. And without further ado, let's do a joystick accuracy test. Hit the test. We're going to do a circle and 2.8%. It's actually not bad because the way how I look at this, I can see that the outer layer is like right here and is pretty evened out across the whole like range of the joystick. So it's not a bad thing. I actually think that this is really good and very evened out. But yeah, this looks really good for a joystick accuracy test. Without further ado, let's do an input latency test. All right, guys, so here we are in X input tester. And right now I have the controller hooked up to my PC via USB dongle. So without further ado, let's see if this controller really hits that 200 hertz that is like right here. But without further ado, let's do this. Ooh, nice. That was actually really fast. Okay. So let's see if there was any outliers. It looks like there was 2 outliers with 2.53 milliseconds and 2.29 milliseconds.
Jitters at 0.09 milliseconds. Okay. Looking at this is actually like really good. Really good. I could tell this 0.2, 0.53 probably knocked it up some, but with the average input latency of 0.5% with a polling rate of 1795 average, and looking at these numbers, yeah, this looks really good. I do see it like spiking down to that 100 millisecond or 100 polling rate hertz, like right here. But overall, yeah, these are some really good numbers for a wireless connection. But without further ado, let's actually test this with the wire connection. Let's see if we can get better results with that. All right, guys, here we are, wire connection, input latency test, and we're about to start this right about now. So let's see if we get more stable numbers. All right. And looks like we do get a higher score. Average input latency of 0.51 milliseconds with a polling rate of 1947. The maximum looks like it was 1 millisecond. Okay, and the minimum was 0.5 milliseconds. Yeah, so looking at this, it looks like you get more consistent 200 hertz polling rate, which is really good. And these are honestly really solid numbers with little to no outliers. All right, then, that's pretty cool. But without further ado, we gotta do one more input latency test, and that is with the Bluetooth connection. So let me get that set up for you. All right, guys, now I have this controller hooked up to my PC via Bluetooth. So without further ado, let's see what's the polling rate using a Bluetooth connection. I really do hope this is good. We're about to find out. And there we go. We got a lot of 6s, a lot of 8s, a lot of 9s. All right. So we got quite a bit of outliers right here. So 10. Oh, top 10 outliers right here. But a total of 20 out of 1,000, which isn't bad at all. But looking at the polling rate, interesting. It's all over the place. Like I see a lot of 9s, 8s, 6, 4s. Yeah, so don't think you're going to get that 2,000 hertz polling rate with just the Bluetooth connection. But hey, that's why you got to use this controller in wire mode and using the USB dongle. That at least you get 200 hertz polling rate with those. But the Bluetooth is actually not bad, but it could be better. But yeah, there you go. Now you got the polling rate for all 3 modes of this controller. Also, if you look on the bottom of this programming bar right here and you see this button right here, if you actually push this button, this will cycle between the 4 profiles that you can set on this controller. So that way you can have like one profile for like FPS, one profile for whatever game you're playing, one profile for gyro racing, and another profile for like, for example, maybe like gyro FPS games. So yeah, this is how you file through all of the profiles on this controller. Alright guys, so the first thing I want to show you how to do on this controller is to program one of the 4 programmable buttons, where you have 2 right here and you have 2 on the back. So to program the programmable buttons, all you have to do is press one of the programmable buttons and this button right here that's on the bottom of this bar at the same time. Once you do that, you'll see that this light will start glowing, waiting for an input. So all you gotta do is just press the corresponding button, and then there you go. Now the button is programmed to whatever corresponding button you pressed. Now if you want to clear all configurations, all you have to do is double tap this button right here, and that will get rid of all the programmable button settings for you. Alright, so now we're going to set turbo mode for this controller. So if you want to set turbo mode, what you want to do is press this button on the far left of this whole programming bar right here, and plus one of the corresponding buttons that you would like turbo mode for. So for this example, we're going to use X as our example. So once you click on it, at the same time, the controller will vibrate, and now you have turbo mode activated for the X button. Now you may have noticed that this turbo mode is pretty slow. So if you want to increase this, what you want to do is press the FN button and plus the left key to cycle from 5 seconds to 10 seconds. And then you can do it again to cycle from 10 seconds to 20 seconds. And that's how you can adjust the speeds of the turbo mode for the turbo button, whatever you have set up for it. Now, if you want to clear turbo mode for this button, it's really simple. All you got to do is just double tap this. The button on the far left of the programming bar right here, and that will get rid of all the turbo functions that you have set up for this controller. All right guys, so I'm going to show you how to set up macros for all the programmable buttons on this controller. So this button right here, that's on the bottom first one to the right of the programming bar, this button right here is the macro button. So what you want to do is actually hit the macro button plus one of the corresponding programmable buttons. Hold that for 3 seconds. You notice that this LED will start flashing, which means that it's now recording inputs. So you could just type in whatever inputs you want to do. And then what you want to do after you're done is just hit the macro button again. And now my programmable button is now programmed as a macro. So that is how you program macros for this controller. And of course, if you want to get rid of the macro for the programmable button, all you gotta do is just hit this twice, and then that will clear the macro for the programmable button. All right guys, so if you guys want to enable 0 dead zone mode on both of the joystick, is actually really easy to do. So this little button right here that's underneath these little 4 toggle lights, if you hit the FN button plus one of the joysticks, you basically activate 0 dead zone mode on the joysticks, and what this will do is give you the true value of each joystick. So as you see, they're kind of like spazzing all over the place because they have no dead zones programmed in. And if you want to put the dead zones back on, all you gotta do is just click the FN button and the stick again, and you're now the dead zones are put in place. So that's how you do that. One of the cool things about this controller is that it is supported by the BIGBIGWON Assistant app that you can download for PC, which I have the app installed right here. And for here, you can do a lot of things. So one of the coolest things that you can do is actually set up your different profiles for the 4 profiles, and you can actually add additional ones if you wanted to. So say for instance, if I want to program a profile, I could just click on this. Within the profile, you can actually program the gyro motions if you will want to do that. You also can control the stick calibrations of the controller, which I think is really cool, or left stick and right stick. This is where you can set the key mapping, and you can program turbo mode manually throughout this app if you want to do it through the app rather than do it through all the stuff. And you can actually control the vibrations of the both left vibration and the right vibration. So again, this is a really cool thing. Another thing I want to point out is this is where you can like set all your macros, so that way if you want to have macros that you want to input manually and then put them to a button, you can do that. Cool thing about this is you can change the input of this controller. So surprisingly, this controller has not just an X input mode or a switch mode, but a PS5 mode. I don't own a PS5, so I don't know if this works, but someone let me know if you could set this to PS5 mode and will this work with the wire connection. I am really curious. If it does, that will be great. If it doesn't, who knows. Of course, you can set the polling rate for the controller, so you can set it to 2000, 1000, 500, or 250, which I mean, I don't know why you want to set it below 2000. And this is also allows you to calibrate the joysticks and the gyro for this controller. And also the last tab right here is where you can upgrade the firmware of this controller, which I know glad they put a tutorial in it, because the last time I did the BIGBIGWON Rainbow 2 controller, it was a little bit of a wonky situation on how to upgrade the firmware for the controller, and people were bricking their controllers by accident. But looks like this video tutorial actually explains how to do it properly. As long as you have your dongle unplugged, your controller plugged into your PC via wire connection, and you run the upgrade, it should work perfectly fine. Now, all thing you got to do is reset the calibrations of the joysticks and the gyro. But other than that, the controller is going to work perfectly fine. So yeah, that is it for the software of this controller. The Blitz controller is also compatible with the BIGBIGWON mobile app, which you can download on Android and iOS with using the Google Play Store for Android. And with this, you can actually do all the configurations for this controller just like the desktop app can. So first thing you want to do is select your controller. Once it scans it and finds the controller, this is where you can actually edit your profiles, and basically you can configure the motions for this controller, stick curvage and stick sensitivity, map all of the buttons, and control the vibration settings for this controller. Also, another cool thing that you could do is you can actually program macros with this if you wanted to. And if you want, you can actually do like all your calibrations for the joysticks and the for the joysticks and for the gyro. You also can switch the connections from X input to PlayStation or Nintendo Switch, I think this PS mode is honestly meant to make this controller work with Call of Duty Mobile. That's the only thing I can think of when you have this controller in PlayStation mode. And yeah, that's pretty much about it for the app. And oh, also forgot to mention that you can control the pulling rate of this controller from 2000 hertz, 1000 hertz, 500 hertz, and 250 hertz. But with this, using this controller on a mobile phone, 9 times out of 10, if you're not using the dongle with like a USB hub to connect to your phone, you're most likely going to be stuck with a Bluetooth polling rate, which isn't bad, but it is nowhere near 200 hertz. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the mobile app of this controller. Okay, now, so I've owned this controller for about 2 weeks now, and here are my thoughts on this controller. First off, I would like to talk about the gyro function of this controller. So it took a little bit of tinkering with the gyro function. Basically, you've been using my mobile app while playing like a Black Ops 6 with this controller. But once I got the function right, I realized that gyro is actually a really fun thing to have with your controller. And once you configure gyro using like either a mobile app or the desktop app, it is really good to make them quick, snappy, like aim down sight positions when it comes to aiming down sights and firing at enemies. I found the gyros like really helpful. Also, the one thing I do like about the gyro is that when I was playing with racing games, I was able to adjust the gyros for the left stick as well, so that way I can make like quick turns when I was playing racing games. Overall, like out of all the controllers that have like gyro functions, I'll definitely say the BIGBIG is one of the better controllers when it comes to using gyro functions with this controller. Another thing I want to talk about is using this controller in FPS games, hence Black Ops 6. The fact that this controller has a 2000 hertz pulling rate and also 4 programmable buttons, this definitely is like one of those top tier controllers that you can use, especially for FPS games. When you have people up here using the Omni movement to jump, dive, slide, duck, and do all the crazy stuff, you will really want like a really fast, responsive controller with the programmable buttons to keep your hands on the right stick, so you can always aim at the enemies and just take them out. This controller is overall like really good for FPS games. When it comes to using this controller for fighting games, I would definitely have to say I do like this controller. So this is where I mostly focuses on the D-pad. So personally for me, I actually take out the regular D-pad and use a circle D-pad, because the way how I use a D-pad is I don't really have my thumb sitting in the center of the D-pad. I usually like to move my thumb around the edges of the D-pad. So if you're someone who like wants looking for like a fighting game or looking for a controller for fighting games with a good D-pad, I could definitely recommend this controller. Just switch out the regular D-pad and use like the little circle D-pad. You will find a way that you will be able to make more precise movements, and because it is mechanical clicks, you can actually feel every single click when you're hitting down, left, right, or up. Or if you want to hit the diagonal, you could feel like both clicks of the down and left, or down and right, or up and left, or up and right. Overall, like I have to say, like this is a great controller for fighting games. And when it comes to doing like just generic gaming or everyday gaming, I have to say like I do enjoy this controller. This controller is more than enough if you are someone who wants to play like JRPG games, if you want to play hack and slash games or any other generic games. I definitely can recommend this controller. This controller is actually really fun and really comfortable in the hands. I also like the fact that you can like do things like adjust the joysticks on it to basically get higher joysticks or lower joysticks, whatever preference you have for your style. And honestly, this controller is just a great controller to have overall. Now, the only downsides I can think of for this controller are honestly like 2 things that I have noticed. So the first thing is that I've noticed that you cannot configure gyro manually on the controller, that you have to use the mobile app and the desktop app. Now, I do know that like BIGBIGWON controllers, it's like some that can and some that can't. The budget-friendly one you can program gyro on the fly. But for this controller, like you do need the mobile app or the desktop app when it comes to programming the gyro functions for this controller. And the second thing I also want to talk about is that this controller does not have analog triggers. Now, for me, that's not really a big deal because again, I can't really think of a lot of games where I really truly need analog triggers. But for some of those people who like those analog triggers, unfortunately, this controller has mechanical keys as triggers that go from 0 to 100. But then again, I can be honest with you, that's honestly a good thing, especially if you're someone who mostly plays like FPS games, like competitive games. You want that button input as quickly as possible. And again, because of the low input latency, this controller and with the mechanical keys for the triggers, you definitely want to get this controller when it comes to the competitive scene. So, and just after talking about this controller overall, like for like a $70 to $80 controller, like you are getting like a good bang for your buck. Like I said, you got a controller, 2000 hertz. The joysticks are adjustable with different joystick heights, and they have the friction rings, which feel really nice. You got 4 programmable buttons, multiple different ways of programming this controller. Honestly, like this controller is like a must-have if you are a PC gamer that is into the competitive scene for like gaming, for like Black Ops, fighting games, whatever you could think of. This is definitely the controller meant for the competitive scene, for like the esports people. So overall, I will definitely say that I will recommend this controller. For $80, it's, you know what? No, actually I do. I will say that this is practically a perfect controller for $80. It's a 10 out of 10 in my book. We don't have too many controllers out there that can do a 2000 hertz pulling rate for $80, and with four programmable buttons with a multitude of ways of how to program the controller. This controller is great and is a must-have for those people. Just make sure when you get this controller to get a 1 millisecond response monitor to take advantage of the pulling rate of this controller, because I notice a lot of people probably got a lot like these really fast low input controllers and they don't have the monitor to support the 1 millisecond. They're still at 8 milliseconds. So yeah, those are my thoughts for this controller. All right, guys, so that is it for this controller review. If you found this controller review helpful, the first thing you should do is definitely like this video and also subscribe to the YouTube channel, so that way you guys will be notified of whenever I post another controller review or a controller video. Also, if you are actually interested in purchasing this controller, there is actually an affiliate link listed in the description. So if you use my affiliate link to purchase this controller, I get a small kickback. And this is my very first affiliate link, so I will really appreciate it if you guys are interested in buying this controller to use my link. Again, I am thankful for all the people who watches my video. I'm glad that I'm able to help people make decisions when it comes to purchasing gaming controllers. And until then, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.